morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. This morning we look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin was at 67,795 a little while ago, earlier this morning, and it's up here above 68,000 right now. So that is where Bitcoin is. And then we go over to our word of the day. Our word of the day is Epochal, forming or characterizing an epoch making. My sister was lucky enough to see the prince on his Epochal Sign of the Times tour. So that is our word of the day. We go over to our heat map. I'm just going to adjust our screen here. And we've got Apple was up this morning. We'll just double check. No, I guess this is accurate, down 1.26%. Microsoft is Procter & Gamble. Pepsi are down. Semiconductors are bouncing back. Energy is bouncing back as well. Healthcare, United Healthcare is bouncing back today. So that is interesting. So let us go over to our charts. This is Natera. We ditched Natera today, just didn't like how it came down hard through its 20-day, getting close to its 50-day. We did have some options on a call option, so it protect the fall a little bit, but we are moving on. This is $1. Wow, it just keeps on going. You can take a look at it on the 5-minute bar. It has moved up pretty strong today. Silver gapping up today. Interesting with the dollar strong. Silver is up 1.32%. Gold is up as well, up 0.4344%. Copper is pretty flat. We're just kind of wondering if it's going to fill this gap over here. Uranium. Look at that move on it. Uranium gapping up and pretty strong. Denison Mines. That's a powerful move. Definitely has cleared the 200-day moving average, up 7.7% today. Look at bond yields. They're pulling down below their 10-day moving average at the moment, down to 4.01%. The 20-year pulling down 0.41% at 3.15% yield. Take a look at the bonds themselves. Looks like we got a gap up here, clearing the 10-day moving average, up 0.43% on price. This is a VIX, pulling back about 2% this morning. S&P is pretty flat so far. Equal weight is up slightly, about 0.5%. NASDAQ pulling back off 0.44%. Our equal weight is up slightly. The Russell 2000 continues up. Looks like we may finally have a breakout. Dow Jones up slightly. Let's just see where the strength is. Financials up 0.77% over in China. Got a kind of a little bit of a bounce, up 1.88%. FXI getting up to the 20-day moving average. I've looked at energy for a while. It is bouncing a little bit. Look at oil prices. and continue lower. Communications, kind of riding that 10-day moving average. This one is up 0.43%. Real estate, up 0.5%. Retail got a little bit of a bounce yesterday, up 1.36 today. Utilities continues higher, up nearly 1% this morning. Biotech, up 0.45. Consumer discretionary, Tesla and Amazon are sitting. It's pretty flat. Consumer staples, healthcare. We got software, pulling back to the 10-day moving average. Technology. Transportation continues up. This is healthy. Home construction, up 1.33% this morning. Semiconductors, up slightly. Infrastructure. Airlines. Wow, look at that move by airlines. That looks like the ETF of the day, up 2.63%. Leisure activity, up 1.47. Home builders, up 1.35%. So that is the story there. We'll go over here to look up, see what kind of news we got. World news, the pound fell 0.4% earlier and dipped below $1.30 for the first time since August 20th, after the UK inflation showed more than expected in September. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin issued a letter this week to the Israeli government, telling it to take urgent and sustained action to reverse course on the spiraling humanitarian situation in Gaza or risk seeing select U.S. military assistance cut off. On to consumer news. Got Stellantis. Said it expects a 20% drop in Q3 consolidated vehicle shipments amid declining business performance, which led last month to cut profit and cash flow forecast for the full year. And they are actually up 1% today. Yum Brands downgraded to hold from buy at TD Cowen, and they are sliding about 0.5% onto energy, industrials, and materials. Eastman Chemicals downgraded to buy to neutral at Bank of America, but raised target to 119 from 114. So that is that. Enphase downgraded to neutral from positive at Susquehanna. JB Hunt Q3 EPS $1.49 versus $1.41. Revenues fell 3% year over year to $3.07 billion versus estimate of $3.02 billion. And actually, they're gapping up today, up a little over 3%. Lithium Americas and General Motors have entered into a new investment agreement to establish a joint venture for the purpose of funding, developing, constructing, and operating Thacker Pass in Humboldt County, Nevada. JV transaction will deliver $625 million of cash and letters of credit from GM. And Lithium Americas is bouncing. It's up about 20% on that news. Take a look at GM. They're up as well, up 2.76%. Rio Tinto said it has shipped weaker than expected 84.5 million tons of ore from its Western Australia operations during Q3, of which 19% accounted for lower grade, lower margin product called SP10. Said its mining costs are likely to be in the upper half of an annual forecast of 21.75 to 23.50 a ton as inflation runs at the higher end. So that's Rio Tinto down 0.54% this morning. United Airlines authorized a new share repurchase program for up to 1.5 billion. Q3 adjusted EPS $3.33, tops consensus of $3.17, and they are on the runway and taking off, up 9% today. Westlake Chemical upgraded to neutral from underperform at Bank of America and raised target to 159 from 151, and they are up 0.87%. Nigeria's oil regulator has rejected Shell's proposed $1.3 billion sale of its onshore oil fields to Renaissance Group because the buyer is not qualified to manage the assets, Reuters reports. So we got a gap up on Shell shares today, up 1.24% on the financials. Klarna is offloading most of its UK buy now, pay later portfolio to hedge fund Elliott in a deal that could free up to as much as 30 billion pounds for new loans, the Financial Times reported. First Horizon, Q3 EPS 42 cents versus 38 cents. And they're working on a breakout here up 4.31% this morning. And on to Fulton Financial, Q3 EPS 33 cents versus net interest margin rose 6 basis points to 3.49%. Common equity tier 1 capital increased to 10.5% compared to 10.3% in the prior quarter. Their stock is moving up 3.72% on that news. On to Hancock Whitney, Q3 EPS $1.33 versus estimate $1.29. And they are pretty flat for the day. Looks almost exactly the same as yesterday's move, up 0.5%. And on to Interactive Brokers, Q3 adjusted EPS $1.75, below consensus of $1.82. They're selling off 4.5% this morning. On to Synchrony. They're up 4.5% this morning. EPS $1.94 versus consensus of $1.79. On to healthcare. Merck Capvaxive pneumococcal 21 valent conjugate vaccine demonstrates positive immune responses in adults with increased risk of pneumococcal disease. And they are selling off 1.69% today. Novocure shares jumped overnight after saying the FDA approves Optune Lua for concurrent use in PD-L1 inhibitors treatment of metastatic small cell lung cancer. And moving on to technology, media, and telecom. Qualcomm is likely to wait until the U.S. presidential election in November before deciding whether to pursue an offer to buy Intel, Bloomberg reported last night. So Qualcomm is off 0.5%. Take a look at Intel. Intel is down 2.5% today. Cisco was upgraded to buy from neutral at Citigroup and raised the target to 62 from 52, saying it expects the company to benefit from expanding Ethernet, artificial intelligence, total addressable market, narrowing valuation gap versus peers. And Cisco is gapping up today, up a little over 2%. Omnicom, Q3 EPS $2.03 versus $2.02. Initially sold off, and it is bouncing back up 1.11%. Finally, the Epochal Group cuts full year 24 forecast view to 60 million to 63 million, from 63 to 66. It didn't come up because I typed in the wrong code, and it is down almost 28% today. Ouch. So let us go over to our daily routine. This has jumped up. This is we got options on this at 22. So it's got a lot of buying in here today. Up nearly 12% on the day, with 274% increase in volume. Centrus Energy, look at that move, up 18.74%. Earnings aren't for another 20 days. New Scale Power, about the same thing. It is definitely breaking out, up 31% today. 774% increase in volume. Wave Life Sciences, a Singapore-based company, develops stereo pure nucleic acid therapies to treat genetic diseases. Wow, look at that, up 75% today. And Alarm Technologies, up 24% today. From this, it's hard to tell that it's up 24%, but it is clearing its 50-day moving average. Israel-based company provides software solutions for information security and cybersecurity measures. So that is the story there. So what have we done today? We did get out of this IPO today. It's actually up higher than when we sold. So that is kind of the story with that one. And we looked at Natera earlier. BitX. We'll just hope that it doesn't, by Friday, get up to 33. ELF continues to bounce around. We do have those December call options on ELF. Oracle is pulling back after getting up here to 174. We'll just continue to watch this one for the moment. MicroStrategy. It's pulling back a little bit. Pretty flat for the day, actually. We have some options in Garden Health. It's up 0.23%. We'll just see if it can clear this 20-day moving average. Kava, after pulling back yesterday, kind of holding pretty strong. Bounced back yesterday after that news that Chipotle was investing in a competitor, Luma, I believe it's called, out of Australia. They only have a couple of restaurants in the US. NVIDIA. It's bouncing a little bit today, up 1.10%. Carpenter Technology, bouncing off of the 20-day moving average. BRT, up a little over 3%. A-Lab, getting a little bounce after a 2-day pullback here, up 1.63%. Dave continues its strong actually looks like it's breaking out here. Up 3.23%. So we had a little bit of a pullback to the 20-day, and then it bounced. This was based on its earnings report that some people were disappointed with, and it is now breaking out of that little bit of a consolidation. And we did look at American Superconductor, and that's kind of what we're doing with our portfolio. Well, this has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. You need to do your own due diligence if you want to follow along with any of our trades. Hope everybody goes out there, works on their goals, and keep working on your activities, support them. Have a great Wednesday, and we'll catch you back on Thursday.